You may be wondering why I'm in black. Black t-shirt, black beanie. It's because we're in mourning. We are mourning today the death of the humble beer bottle. I'll explain more in a moment. Welcome back to ABV TV, where I drink beer on the internet. Today we are drinking a pale ale from one of my local breweries, 5 Barrel. And a 5 Barrel glass. Look at that, eh? The glassware matching. Occasionally it happens. Colour-wise, this is probably what you expect with a pale ale, an American-style pale ale. You've got a little bit of an orange tinge come through. Head-wise is a little bit poor, but I put that down to the fact that the glass is just coming out of the fridge. It's probably too cold, to be perfectly honest. I probably should have let that warm up. I've been contemplating, I think I've mentioned this in the past, of like keeping glasses in the fridge. I'm still thinking about it, I still haven't done it. But yeah, a pale ale from 5 Barrel. It comes in at 5.3%, so it's probably on the higher end from a pale perspective. The beer, it does have a lovely hoppy sort of citrus aroma. Definitely some stone fruit is going to come through with this one. Touch of passion fruit. I'm now just speaking from memory more than actually evaluating the actual beer in the glass. There is also that there's a little bit of sweetness that comes through as well, and that's probably from the malt. Some of the specialty malts is probably producing that more sort of a sugary sort of a sweetness. But it's the stone fruits that are really jumping through here. It's a nice, crisp pale ale. It definitely really goes heavy on that late hop flavour. So there's no real bitterness that's come through. It is very... the actual flavour is driven by the hops that's probably at the end of the boil, and obviously the malt bill as well. As I said, specialty malts giving it that colour and probably adding a little bit of a caramel and a little bit of a sweetness to it, and that's really driving through the flavour home. At the top I talked about that we're in mourning, and it's because it's the death of the beer bottle. And the reason why I think this is the case is this beer technically should no longer be in a bottle. It's probably one of the last that's out in the wild in terms of the pale ale being bottled by 5 Barrel. They started canning during COVID, like a lot of breweries were sort of forced to do, to sell beer because no one was going in. And plus cans are, brutally honest, better for beer. They don't get light struck like they do with glass bottles, and yeah, and packaging wise it's probably just a better experience. But because of that, it means that the old humble beer bottle, the little brown stubby, is going to be extinct. Now there'll always be some beers that will always stay in bottles, and that's probably going to be more things like your barley wines, and maybe some sours may be more suited to bottle. But even then, I think a lot of them are now moving to just canning. Canning is probably quicker, simpler, easier, cheaper, and you can probably do a lot more with cans than you do with bottles. the one big drawback with bottles, besides the fact that they're made of glass and they will break, is the fact that they don't keep all the light out. Light struck beer is bad for beer. It gives beer changes the taste of it, can completely ruin the taste of beer. And while brown glass is a shitload better than green glass, like a Heineken bottle, and definitely better than clear glass from a Corona, it still doesn't keep 100% of the light out, unlike a can, because it's aluminium, it's solid, it's no light can get in there. So unfortunately, kids, these things are going to become relics, things of the past, things that you will see in beer museums if they exist, and if not, there's an idea. I should patent that before someone steals it. Or you're going to find them turning up in antique shops and second-hand stores, because the old glass bottle, she's dying not even a slow death. I think the death is getting quicker and quicker as we go along. And a part of me feels ashamed by that, because glass has been, there's just something traditional about drinking beer, especially straight out of a bottle. There's a weird romanticism about that. While I know good beer should be drunk out of a glass, I still don't mind drinking straight out of the vessel, whether it's the bottle or the can. Especially it's something that I've had a million times before. You know what it's going to taste like. I don't see too much of a difference. You probably lose out on some of the aromas that come through when poured into a glass, but especially when it's a pale ale or a lager or something light, smashing it out of a bottle or a can is ideal. Like if I'm watering the lawn, beer in a bottle, perfect. It just feels right, especially if it's a long neck. That's even better. But just, beer out of a bottle there's a romanticism to it. As a home brewer, you can't give you your bottle beer, and your bottle beer, it's in brown glass bottles, or you can have the PET bottles, but they're just better coming out of a glass bottle. But soon they won't be a thing. Glass bottles are going to be gone, and I think it's sad. I think we need to have a moment's silence for the glass bottle, and a toast in tribute to the death of the glass bottle. If I could shed a tear, I would. The beer itself. 5 Barrels Pale Ale, part of their core range. As I said, it's a nice pale ale. It's more sweeter and a little bit more sort of hop flavored than bitterness coming through for an American style pale. I do think that as a core range, I think every brewery will have a solid pale ale, and this is a solid beer. There's nothing that you would say is wrong with it. Are there better pale ales? Yeah, more than likely there are, but it's a good solid foundation for 5 Barrel and for any brewery to have a good pale ale. And it's kind of rare to find a brewery that doesn't have a pale ale as a part of their core range or on tap or on their roster. I'm sure if I sat here long enough, I'd think of some, but at the moment I don't, and I can't. And also being local, it's fantastic. I do love the Illawarra craft beer scene and what's happening down here. We've got some fantastic breweries, so if you ever take a trip down to the south coast of New South Wales, you're going to be in for a treat, because there's some really, really, really good breweries down here, from 5 Barrel, Illawarra Brewing, Resin, Bulleye Brewing, Coal Coast, Stoic, and even when you go further south, you get into Jarvis Bay, Flaming Galah, Dangerous Ales. There's a ton. There's a lot of really good beer that's been made down here. And for me, I come from Marrickville, which is the heart of craft beer in New South Wales and in Sydney, possibly Australia. That could be debated if you live in Melbourne and Brisbane. But yeah, I think Marrickville was the epicenter of craft beer, and the fact that moving down here, I haven't missed out on much because there is a really, really good scene down here. And a lot of really, really great breweries. So if you see their stuff sitting in the shelves of your local bottler, by all means, give it a go. Give 5 Barrel a go. Their beers are really, really good. Their red IPA is sensational. They make some pretty good seasonal hazies as well. Every year they do an Imperial Stout, which is probably one of the best Imperial Stouts in the country, being perfectly honest. Just a great beer. Yeah, I can't talk more highly enough about my little beer scene down here. It's very, very good. And this beer is also pretty good. So 5 Barrel Pale Ale. If you see them in a bottle, get it for nostalgia's sake, but chances are it's probably the end of the run, and check the expiry date to make sure that it's still good. It's still good. But when you see him in a can, go out and grab him. He's a good beer to have on hand and sitting in the fridge for just everyday drinking, really. Cheers. Oh, god damn it, I forget it every motherfucking time. If you like the videos on the channel, please click the little thumbs up, click subscribe. That really helps me and the channel out a lot. And drop us a comment in terms of what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see me drink and review. Got a couple of unique beers coming up next, which a little bit different. We'll see how that plays out. So yeah, if you want to get notified on when those videos go up, you've got to click the subscribe and the little bell, apparently. I didn't really know that. I was just copying whatever everyone else says on YouTube. I don't know, I just drink beer on the internet. Fuck. Cheers.